Another day, another log. Some progress has certainly been made, and I've made some pretty big decisions regarding the mechanics of the player. I don't actually have my joypad plugged in, so give me a moment while I open level 1 and grab my controller so we can play test. So mechanic changes. It's pretty big. Since originally the character had a double jump, and also the character could jump. Whoops. The character could jump, dash, and then jump again. So those I have disabled completely. There is no more double jump. I've added some new animations for the player, so it's a little more detailed, and I quite like it. And the game is going to be a lot more about timing and getting your jumps just right. I don't think that one actually works. I've also removed the graphics for the checkpoints because I don't really think they added any value. So if I die in this zone, I respawn at the start of this scene. And I'm just going to place little checkpoints at the start of every scene. And when you die, you simply start at the last checkpoint that you reached. So the indexing is also no more relevant for the checkpoints, I think. I might change my mind on that depending if the room that I'm in is part of a bigger puzzle or sort of flow that you're currently in. But for now, I think just simply dying puts you back to the start of the room. One thing that's a bit strange though, if I die over here, I get taken back to this room. And I'm not sure if that's a good mechanic, if that's a good user experience. But you'll see there, I've added a falling rock. It's not perfect because currently it's using an area 2D. And if I'm in the area, it triggers. But if I'm already there when the rock spawns, it doesn't trigger the entered event. And I don't know if there is actually a event that checks whether the player is already in the area. I can control the timing and the speed on that falling rock, so it can fall either slower or faster. That little jiggle animation is currently fixed, the timing for it, so I can't control how long it takes. And then you also might notice that the tile set looks quite a bit different. I've been playing around with redrawing the tile set, but it's not perfect yet. There are still some tiles that don't really fit very nicely together. But I think it's definitely an improvement over what there was before. It looks a little more interesting than the tiles that there were, and I've also removed all textures in the middle of the tile. So there's only texture on the corner tiles, but everything on the inside has been removed to be plain. And I did that with the intention to put more focus on the player movement and avoiding specific obstacles. Now I've only done this for this tile set. I have to do it for the yellow one and for the pure ice one. And I also increased the resolution from 480 to 640. And that gives me a little more room to create more interesting jump and maneuvering puzzles. Yeah, and that's about it for now. Nothing too exciting happening here. I am about 98% sure that I'll be removing enemies. The only enemy that's going to stay is that spitter enemy, the one that sort of looks like a fly trap that's stuck to the wall, because I see that more as an environmental hazard than an actual enemy. I got a quote from a friend I was talking to about the game dev stuff, and he said, his lecturer always said, kill your babies. Now that sounds pretty intense, but what it means is your babies is your project, right? The ideas that you work on, because you take your ideas personal, and it's hard to cancel one of your ideas, say, this is not going to work. But you can always come back to it, right? I mean, if you cancel something, you take it out of the game, like the enemies, and you later see that actually there is room to do it, you can always just put it back. You can find a way to figure out how to do that. And oh, one more thing out of interest for anyone else who does Godot development, working with controllers and inputs. If you have Steam installed on your computer and you're using the Xbox controllers, now I'm using the latest Xbox controller that came with my Xbox Series X. So I'm speaking about this one specifically. I don't know if this applies to others, but Steam has this feature to enable Xbox controller, I think it was extend or Xbox controller support. And that actually caused the double inputs that I was experiencing in the first video I made, where the UI would jump 2 or 3 times if I press up or down. It's because Steam was also triggering these input events to Windows, and Godot would read that as 2 inputs. So it would just jump randomly between things, and I actually picked this up with a dash bug. I was spamming the dash button, and the character started jumping. And that's because Steam was mapping my B button to the spacebar on my keyboard. So that was tremendously frustrating, but I finally found it. If you have Steam installed and you're doing Godot development, be careful on turning on that controller support in Steam. It causes duplicate inputs in the Godot engine. Fun times. And this is probably true for any engine because it triggers an actual Windows keyboard event because you can control your Windows UI with the controller. Fun times. Other than that, nothing more terribly exciting has happened. Like I said, I was working on the Tileset, trying to find nicer ways to organize my tiles. So this is what I currently have. These were the original tiles, and these are the new tiles. Whoops. So I'll be working on extending this and creating a similar tile set for each of these colors. And then also there are some boxes that I want to add to the game. And this is a saw that I haven't actually gotten to. I do want to make some place for that too, because now these environmental hazards and additional hazards are going to be way more interesting. Without the need for enemies to sort of cause some extra objects or obstacles for the user to navigate through. Fun times. A bit of a boring one here today, but I think some big changes have been made, and I made some pretty big decisions regarding the player controller. So hopefully when I look back at this devlog in a couple of months, I'll be glad that I made this decision. Who knows? But yeah, since I did some work on the player and I thought it actually came out really nice, the player animations have changed quite a bit. So it used to be just 2 little squares that move back and forth, but now it has an actual... Oh, this is the wrong one. Oh, you know what? I forgot to save it. There it is. The player now has an actual run cycle. And it sort of feels like the player is hopping and jumping and moving. It feels way more natural. And it makes the character control feel better in a weird way. Pretty weird, but it does. Okay, cool. That's that. Short video. And hopefully the next video I make will be a little more exciting.